Welcome to the Salt Strong Fishing Podcast. Salt Strong has been helping saltwater anglers catch more fish in less time for 10 years and is now the largest and most trusted saltwater fishing community in America. If you want to catch more saltwater fish, then keep listening. If you want to speed up your fish catching results even faster, then join the private insider community at saltstrong.com. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
Hiding. Are you doing this in life? Hey everybody, Joe Simons, Like Diamonds, back again, Salt Strong Unchurched. I recently did a podcast about proving and hiding, and I got a lot of feedback on it, so thank you guys. That was a very popular one, and it's probably because it impacts everyone. Everyone does proving and hiding. We all have fears. There is no right or wrong fear. It just is, meaning we are all built completely different by God. We all have different strengths. We have different weaknesses, and we all have different fears. No matter who you are, you have a fear. No matter how much you want to say you don't, or how much you want to hide the fact that you don't have fears, we do. We all have them built in, some more than others. Some are able to handle it better over time, but we all have certain fears. Some of them go back all the way back to childhood. Some happen as teenagers, some happen as adults. But there are fears there that do drive how we act, how we react, how we interact. And that can be really, really powerful. And if you missed the proving and hiding, I'll give you a quick little summary. I would encourage you to go listen to it. But we as a team here at Salt Strong went through this thing called Sight Shift. The book is called Figure That Shift Out by Chris McAllister. Brilliant guy. He coaches famous people, CEOs of really big companies, and has been doing this, for 20 plus years and just really has it dialed in. And, he's kind of dialed it into the fact that everyone has these different fears. And I talked about the different fears, but regardless of what the fear is, we all tend to either prove or hide. And I'll give you some examples. So for a couple of mine, I have a couple of different fears. Everyone has more than one. There's usually a couple that kind of show up at the top, though. One of mine is the fear of poor performance, and the other one is the fear of being replaceable. So when I'm proving, let's just use like the fear of poor performance. When I'm proving, I'm going like out of my way to remind others about something I did in my past that was great, that makes me feel better and look better. So I'll give you an example. Let's just say I was in charge of sales at our company, and we had a really bad month. And everyone's kind of eyes are on me in a meeting. Well, like, hey, Joe, what happened, man? This is not the best month. And now all of a sudden I feel like I'm getting pushed up against a wall. And my initial reaction is fear, right? Oh my gosh, I'm not performing. People aren't going to love me. I'm not worthy. And so instead of listening and taking constructive criticism, I kind of feel like I'm getting pushed into a corner, and then I'll lash out and say, oh yeah, but what about last February or last month when I absolutely crushed it, and start talking about stuff in the past to prove that I am still important, right? And it even sounds funny talking about it, yet we've all done it. Like I've done it even with my wife, where I feel like I'm, fear of poor performance and this replaceable thing where I feel like I maybe haven't done the best job of helping out around the house. And this happened a couple of different times where I've done this, where, she'll be gone running errands and I will go out of my way to unload the dishwasher and clean up around the kitchen. And instead of just doing it and letting it be, and she would figure out that I did it at some point. She knows the kids probably didn't do it. I go out of my way to be in there when she gets back. Well, hey, look at this, do the dishes, or maybe if she came in towards the end of it, I'm literally like purposely clanking around the dishes so that she can hear that I'm doing the dishes. Once again, sounds funny, but true story. I've done all that stuff, and it's how we prove. Those are all proving examples. So a couple of people had asked, like, hey, you didn't talk too much about hiding. And hiding is essentially, the question is like, am I avoiding an opportunity or some sort of circumstance because I maybe don't see how to win, or this is going to impact me in a negative way? And for me, because of my fears of fear of poor performance and the fear of being replaceable. I tend to really gravitate towards things that I know I'm good at, right? And it makes sense. If your fear is the fear of poor performance, that, if you're not performing well and achieving and excelling, that you're not worthy and you're not going to be loved, et cetera, you tend to gravitate towards things that you're good at. And on the flip side, if it's something brand new or it's something where you might look like a fool, if you will, you tend to hide from those experiences. And I'll give you a perfect example. I used to like golf. I was never good at golf, certainly not great at golf. And I've got some good buddies here that are pretty good golfers. They love golfing. They go every week. And I've been invited on a couple different occasions to go with them. And there was one in particular where I literally had nothing to do that day. And my wife would have given me the hall pass. But because my fear is fear of poor performance combined with the fear of being replaceable, in the back of my head, I started feeling this fear coming up. And this sounds funny, but I'm just being vulnerable with you guys. I started just feeling this fear, oh my gosh, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to hack away, I'm going to lose 20 golf balls, I'm just going to stink, and my friends are never going to invite me again. Which that's the fear of being replaceable, right? Hitting me there, so I hide from it. And the other one is fear of poor performance. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to stink. And I envision people there laughing. And oh my gosh, Joe's just horrible, because I am not a great golfer and I haven't played in a couple of years. So I'm probably even worse. And so I made an excuse. I hid. I said, oh, I really got to help out. And around the house, I've been gone quite a bit. And I literally could have gone. And my wife wouldn't have been mad at me. My kids wouldn't have been mad at me. And I probably would have had a great time. And instead, I hid because of that. It's that was the hiding in me. And I look back. So I had a good chat with Chris, and Chris tries to uncover instances or something in your past where that would have come out to kind of cause that to be an ongoing fear. And for me, I was really good at baseball and played competitively all the way through high school, and was good enough to play community college, but didn't end up going to Georgia Tech, who was ranked at number 3 in the country at the time, with Jason Varitek and Nomar Garcia-Parra were both there at Georgia Tech when I was a freshman. They were seniors. There's no way I was getting on that team. But I say all that to what's good. Hey, what am I doing right there? I'm proving that I was awesome. It's so funny, right? When you catch yourself, I literally just caught myself proving on this podcast, because I'm about to tell you something that makes me look horrible and very replaceable, and certainly ties in with the fear of poor performance. So going all the way back to when I was, it was either 11 or 12 years old. And I was playing at Sertoma Park. It was the big baseball complex in Winter Haven, where I grew up. And I was a starting third baseman. I was an all-star. I was great. I'm not proving at this point. I'm just telling. And I remember this game vividly. I remember the coach. His name was Coach Ray. He's passed away now. But all this stuff was so memorable and so impactful. And it was just a normal game. It wasn't like a finals. It wasn't the playoffs. It wasn't anything special. It was just a normal Saturday in a normal baseball game. And I'm sitting there. It's a nice sunny day. I'm on third base. The other team's up to bat, and ground ball comes to me. Routine ground ball, and it literally goes through my legs. Like I went down. I thought I was down low enough. I thought I was going to take a little bit of a hop. It didn't. It goes underneath my legs. So I'm embarrassed. It's not typical of me. I was a pretty decent third baseman. And our coach, Ray, he didn't put up with squat. But he'll put up with a little bit of me, because I was one of the better players on the team. And, he's like, "I'll go get him next time, Joe." And then a couple plays later, a couple at bats later, another ball comes to me, and I never let another one go through my legs like that, but I bobbled it again, like it was in my head. And I still remember Coach Ray just screaming at me, "What the heck, Joe?" He was relentless. And so now it's certainly in my head, and all eyes are on me. I know my teammates are looking at me like, "Man, Joe, what the heck? We usually count on you to make routine plays like that." And we're just loading up the bases basically because of me. And the inning ends, go back, and nothing happens. But the next inning, I made another error. So I made 3 errors, like pretty bad errors. Once again, not only one went through my legs, but 3 pretty bad errors in back-to-back innings combined. And I still remember this. So Ray comes out, like calls a timeout, and he still needed me in the game because of my bat. I was a pretty good batter. And he brings the left fielder and he's like, "You guys switch." So this isn't, once again, in front of everyone. Stands are packed. My parents are there. Um, just, I was humiliated, absolutely humiliated. I mean, you're third base, the stands are right there. Oh gosh, I still remember it so vividly. And so I'm having to sit there, and thankfully I at least got to, jog to left field to go to outfield from third base, where at least I had my back to everyone, but I could just feel it. I was like, all right, all eyes are on me. And I turn around and I'm mad at myself. I'm mad at the coach. I'm mad at the world. Yeah, just because of these fears. I don't know if I had these fears before, but to me, that was kind of something where it started, where that was like the fear of being replaceable. I literally got replaced at the position that I'd been doing my, entire life, or at least, I was only 11 or 12 years old, but for all the years I've been playing baseball, like that was my position. And I got replaced, and I didn't go back, by the way. Like I ended up staying in an outfield, and actually ended up enjoying it, and played out left field in high school. So anyhow, that those two tied in together, that was the fear of poor performance, right? Like that my fear was I'm going to perform poorly. And so when you have that, and especially as you get older, you tend to hide, right, from opportunities that aren't going to perhaps make you look good, right? Or areas where you can't do well. And so I found myself doing that so many times, where I'm invited to do something new that maybe is exciting and probably is going to be pretty fun, and probably wouldn't be that bad at it. But to me, the hiding fear of me, it's like, well, man, what if I am bad? And then what if I'm so bad that, my friends don't want to hang out with me because I just stink at all the stuff they invite me to do. And would that happen? If it did, they probably weren't great friends to begin with, right? But that's what fear can do to you. It can tell your brain or yourself or your body, whatever, that something bad is going to happen that probably never will. And I go back, even all my anxiety attacks, right? It was all fear-based on things that hadn't even happened, and in most cases never would happen. But your mind starts racing and telling you, well, what if this happens? What if this happens? And we all have, no matter who you are, no matter how much we want to say, oh, that never would happen to me. And certainly your fears, like you might have something completely different. It wasn't baseball, and it might not be the fear of poor performance, but we all have them. And I'll repeat the fears, that the fear of not being needed. We have, some people in my life, and even people on our team, that's one of their fears of not being needed. And I can think of one person, a family friend in particular, that is certainly their fear. I don't even need to have them take the test to know this. And guess what they always do, right? They purposely surround themselves with people who need help, right? And are constantly just doing stuff and helping out every which way they can, and seem really, really helpful. But at the same point, if all of a sudden there is, let's just say, a party or an event, and they can't help, like they can't go back and wash dishes and clean up and stick around and be the last person there to help, they feel so unworthy. Whereas I could care less, like, party, I'm not helping, I'm out of here, I'm going to bed. That doesn't bother me at all. Just like that same person wouldn't care about the fear of poor performance, right? Their whole thing is the fear of not being needed. There's another one, not being, cared for, the fear of not belonging. So you can imagine what those people do. And when they're proving, they're obviously just trying to make sure everyone likes them and that they belong. And guess what they do when they hide? If your fear is the fear of not belonging, you make sure not to put yourself in any circumstance where you wouldn't belong, right? Which means you end up kind of being a super, super introvert. And don't put yourself in any sort of situation where you could feel left out, right? That would be the hiding part of you. The fear of inadequacy, the fear of poor performance is I mentioned one of mine, the fear of being a bad person. So if you're an employee, you can imagine what you do when you're hiding, right? You very similar to like the fear of poor performance. You always put yourself in situations where you're going to look good and everyone's going to like you. The fear of a bad outcome, similar. The fear of vulnerability. That's one I don't struggle with. I'm able to get on these podcasts and just say this stuff. Didn't come easy to me, but it's easier than the fear, than admitting my fear of poor performance. And then finally, the fear of being replaceable, which is another one that I share with the fear of poor performance. So that's really it. It's the hiding part of it is going out of your way to avoid things that are going to make you blank, whatever it is, the fear of not being needed, but the fear of not being cared for that ties in with one of your fears. So if you know deep down that one of those I said might be yours and you find yourself doing it, my encouragement to you is to just do it. And the irony is, every time that I have tried something new, where deep down that my fear was like, oh man, what if I screw up here and I'm going to look like an idiot and people are going to laugh at me? It kind of goes back to that baseball game that, man, I screwed up. Everyone's eyes, like when you got a packed game and you have, imagine a baseball game, and I'm proving here, by the way. Imagine this baseball game and you got a batter, you got a pitcher, it's quiet, right? When someone's at bat, pitch happens, the ball comes to third base, all eyes at that second, right? Imagine any baseball game are on that third baseman. So I still envision all eyes on me. And that's how I feel like I live part of my life when there's a new opportunity. If it's something like, hey, going fishing or getting in front of a camera, right? Or even, doing live camera, like that would freak some people out. But because I've done it so many times and I've practiced so many years, to me, that's natural. I don't even fear that stuff. But if it was something else, that all eyes were going to be on me and it was something a little bit newer that I wasn't great at, oh my goodness, I'm trying to like talk my way out of it. I'll give you an example, actually. So I don't mind public speaking so much. I know that's a massive fear for a lot of people. And it's because I'm pretty good at it. And if I have the time to practice and kind of rehearse, I'm pretty confident. But if I don't, man, that fear of poor performance and fear of being replaceable goes super sky high. So there was a banquet here recently in town for a nonprofit that Lauren and I donate to, and it's for child homelessness, trying to end child homelessness. And the CEO of the company had sent me a message like the day of, and said, "Hey, I'd really like for you to say a few words, and also introduce the next. I guess it's a winner of an award." And like, this is the day of. Like, had he told me a month or even a week ahead of time, I would have been like, oh yeah, I'll crush it. Yeah, tell me what you want me to say. Let's kind of script it out. I'll practice it. I would have been good with it. But because he told me day of, it was like, I don't know, 11 in the morning, and that thing was that night. Like, my heart's racing, and everything in me wanted to tell him no, because I didn't have enough time to prepare. It was the fear of poor performance. I was like sky high that I was going to perform horribly. All eyes are going to be on me. There's going to be a couple hundred people there. And you know what I did? I caught myself going into that hiding moment. And this is what proving it hiding is why I talk about it. It's all about being aware. If you can just be aware of it, wow, that's how you conquer it. And so I was aware that I was going to a hiding mode. Everything in me wanted to say no. And I didn't really have any good excuse. He knew I was going to be there. So I couldn't say, I'm not going to be there. And so I said, yeah, you know what? I will do it. And I didn't get any time to rehearse at all. And I crushed it. It was awesome. I had multiple people come up and say, man, you did such a good job, made us laugh, did such a great job once again, made me feel great. But where I was going with that is every time I've gone against that gut fear where I want to hide, and every time I've just done it and said, you know what, I'm going to go all in, and I'm not going to worry about if people laugh at me. I'm just going to give it my best. And you know what? People will still love me. I'm not going to be any less worthy, right? I mean, maybe you've even been to, let's just say it's an event or a gala or something where someone isn't the best speaker. It's not like you hate them, right? It's not like you love them any less. You might even feel some sympathy or empathy for them. And yet, when we have these fears, we start falsely believing that people aren't going to like us, that we're going to be, in my case, replaceable, and no one's going to want to hang out with me anymore, and they're going to think less of me, and then I'm not going to be worthy. I'm not going to be worthy of love. I'm not going to be worthy of God's love. And none of that is true, right? And I would even go as far as to say God wants us. I mean, he just like our kids, right? We're God's children. He wants us to grow. He wants us to try new things. I want my kids to be bold and confident and not worry about someone laughing at them. I think, and I know God put Dan the man in my life for a reason. Dan the man, that's my younger brother, if you don't know, and he was born with cerebral palsy. He's been in a wheelchair his whole life, never walked, never talked. He's, when you're in a 600-pound wheelchair and you look like someone with cerebral palsy and sometimes even drooling a little bit, and you can't talk. You stand out in a crowd. Talk about all eyes on you. You go into a public place and people are looking like, oh, what's wrong with this guy? Why is he in a wheelchair? He looks young, and they're trying to figure him out. Like I can't remember a time when we went to anywhere public, whether it's Disney or a restaurant, where people are staring at him. It doesn't bother him at all, not one bit. He sits there and smiles at everybody. I don't know that he knows what hiding, maybe even proving is. And so I do believe God put him in my life, right? I mean, I'll get self-conscious about, having a big pimple if I have to go out in public, right? Or if get a bad haircut, right? The small things, he's got both all the time. He never has a great haircut. No offense, Daniel, if you're listening to this, love you, buddy. But he is so bold. He is so confident. And yet he's got every reason not to be. And I have every reason to be, right? I'm sure he looks at me and he's like, oh man, I wish I had Joe's legs and arms and could walk and talk and do all the stuff that Joe does. Man, I'd be unstoppable. And yet I look at him sometimes like, man, I wish I had his confidence. Isn't that crazy? I think it's just, to me, I think it's awesome how God works. And Dan, the man, is just a constant reminder of what we should all be like. I really don't know that I've ever seen him really, prove or hide. Maybe he has. Maybe he's hiding something pretty well. But yeah, he's just got this passion for life. He's not afraid to try anything. He doesn't care what someone thinks of him. And maybe it's just because he's dealt with that his whole life and he's just over it. I don't know, but I'm not there yet. I still struggle with those feelings of fear and the fear of poor performance. I've still said no, and I'm sure it'll happen again in my life. But part of me, and the reason I like to do these podcasts, it helps me be aware. It helps me a little bit more present with these fears and how to deal with them. And my promise to you is when that next thing comes up, where everything in my body wants to say no because of my fear of the poor performance or getting replaced or having all eyes on me and people laughing at me, I'm just going to go ahead and say yes and go all in and watch the magic that God does. I think Satan more than anything wants this. I mean, he probably loves these fears. He loves the fact that we're not doing stuff that we know we should, that could maybe grow us, or maybe we're going to meet the next most important person in our life that's going to open up some door for us. Man, I just look at all the past things that have happened in my life and the people I've met. And in many cases, they were at events or things where I was a little bit fearful and a little bit, anxiety was pretty high. So go all in, have no fear, stop proving, stop hiding, and just live life with a passion, just like Dan the man. So hope this was helpful. I wanted to do one on hiding because last time I talked mostly about proving. And if you guys like this or have any other questions or thoughts or want me to bring Chris McAllister back on, let me know, joe@saltstrong.com. Otherwise, I will talk to you on the next episode.
Want more fishing tips, shortcuts, and tools so you can catch more fish per trip? Then head over to saltstrong.com now and join the movement. Tight lines, and thanks for listening.